Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Aravella Simotas. I'm an Assemblywoman who represents Western Queens, a story in Long Island City, and I'm here today to give my support to Christine Quinn for mayor. Yay! I'm a new mother. I have a 10-month-old daughter at home, and the reason why I'm supporting Christine Quinn is because I want our next mayor to focus on schools. I want our next mayor to focus on making sure that we're safe, and I want to make sure that our next mayor makes it a priority that our fiscal house is in order moving forward. And that is Christine Quinn. She is tough. She is result-oriented. She is progressive. She is the mayor that will make sure that our public schools are funded. She will make sure that our firehouses stay open. She will make sure that we will continue to pass on-time balanced budgets. That's so important. I don't want my daughter to have to worry about where she's going to go to school in 5 years. I don't want to have to be worried about if there's an emergency at home, that there's not going to be somebody there to answer that call. And I don't want my child to be straddled with the burden of debt from politicians who don't really care about making tough decisions and tough choices, but are just like to stand in front of cameras and the news and hold press conferences. That is why I give my support to Christine Quinn, not just for myself, but for my daughter. We have a host of my colleagues here who will be supporting Christine Quinn today, and I'd like them to come up and say a few words about her. We're going to start with Michael DenDekker. Yay!
I am here to proudly endorse Chris Quinn for several reasons. Number one, we need somebody that's going to be in City Hall that has already been in City Hall. Chris Quinn has been the Speaker of the New York City Council for 8 years, has led us through some of our darkest times financially, and the city is better off for it. We are now at the cusp of a financial, economic drive and boom, and we need true leadership so we can continue in the right forward direction. Also, because of the amount of work that Chris has done, balancing the difficult task of working with the middle class to try to make sure they do not get absorbed in what happens in the fiscal crisis. Chris Quinn has been an advocate for the middle class and for working men and women and my brothers and sisters in labor. I proudly endorse Chris Quinn for mayor, and I hope everyone in my district, as well as in the borough of Queens and the city, also comes out and votes for Chris Quinn for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Next up, we have Assembly Member Hevesi.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm proud to be here today to endorse Speaker Quinn for Mayor of the City of New York. As a member of the legislature for 8 years, I know what it's like to have somebody run a body like that. It's incredibly difficult, be tough, smart, and able to not only fight the chief executive, in this case the mayor, Speaker Quinn has done, but also work cooperatively when it's appropriate. The Speaker has a record that is unmatched by anybody else in that field. I am proud to throw my support behind her, and we're going to be standing behind her when she accepts her oath of office in the city.
Thank you, Andrew. Next up, we have Assembly Member Edward Braunstein.
I too am very proud to have the honor to stand here and endorse Christine Quinn for mayor. And I'll just echo some of the things my colleagues have already said. In 2008, the country saw the worst economic crisis we've seen since the Great Depression. And a lot of big cities throughout the country saw serious problems, and they got into a rut that they couldn't get out of. But Speaker Quinn and her council colleagues helped us get through that difficult time by making the tough but right decisions and standing together and getting us through. So for that reason, and also for the fact that Speaker Quinn has always been on the ball when it comes to my constituents in Northeast Queens, they know Christine Quinn, they see her in my district, and I couldn't be prouder to be standing here with her today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Next up, we have Moya.
Thank you. I am very proud to stand here and endorse a true champion, not just a champion on women's equality, not just a champion that has gone out and really voiced her opinion on an issue that has impacted me personally. Because Christine Quinn believes in a New York like I do, where your immigration status should never be a barrier for young undocumented students to get a good quality education. Now, Speaker Quinn, along with myself and many of the young advocates that have been out there, have been championing the DREAM Act in the state of New York for the last 3 years. And we were successful by doing that with her hard work and determination. And so I know that we're not just sending the speaker to be the next mayor of the city of New York. We're sending a champion who will be that voice for all New Yorkers. And I'm just proud to stand here with you and say, Mrs. Speaker, soon to be Mrs. Mayor, we are very proud of you, we are in awe of you, and we continue to be indebted and inspired by the work that you do for all New Yorkers across this great city. And I just want to stand here proudly and give you that endorsement. Thank you.
Thank you, Francisco. We have a host of our colleagues who are endorsing Christine Quinn today. Among them are Assemblywoman Nolan, Assemblyman Weprin, Assemblywoman Margaret Markey, and Assemblyman Mike Miller, who couldn't be here today, but who send their support to Christine. Up next, though, we have Mike
Perfect. I was looking at how, not you.
who will be the last one of my delegation to speak.
Yay!
Moved up in rank. Save the best for last. They know I speak the shortest. That's why they say the best. I'm not going to repeat everything that everybody said. I'm just going to make 2 points. Number one, Christine Quinn is the type of person who will and has represented the whole New York City. Not just Manhattan, not just Brooklyn, not just Manhattan, not just Queens. Every borough, every resident, every citizen of New York City will be covered and will be represented by a government run by Christine Quinn. Number two, and I think this is very important, especially now in the times that we're living in now, we need somebody who's going to hit the ground running, who's going to get into City Hall. There's not going to be a learning curve. Christine Quinn's been doing it for the last 8 years. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun.
So young, too. Exactly. Thank you, Assembly Member. No story was to get to.
It's my pleasure. But it's really the city will be in very good hands with Christine Quinn, and it's my pleasure to throw my support behind her as well.
I don't think that we mentioned that when Christine Quinn becomes mayor, she will become the first female mayor in the city of New York. That is so important. And no offense to my male colleagues, but
No, we understand. We're smart enough to know.
That women have a special way of working. They put their head down, they make the tough choices, they work tirelessly to get the job done. And they don't care what anybody says. They focus with laser precision, and that's tough. And that is why I'm so proud to introduce Christine Quinn, the next mayor of New York.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and Aravella, thank you for emceeing, and thank you for that great endorsement and that great introduction, but also thank you for being an amazing role model, not just for women, but for moms across New York. The grace, and really, I am in awe of how seamlessly and effortlessly you went through your pregnancy and public life, and how you didn't seem to miss a beat, and how happy your family is. So you are a great role model for all of us, and thank you so much. It is, I'm sure, because of that. It's a team. So thank you very much. And all the Assembly members and the few that couldn't join us today, thank you guys very, very much for your support, your endorsement. Thank you for working with me in the time that I've been Speaker of the City Council, and thank you for all you've accomplished for the Borough of Queens and all we will accomplish moving forward for the Borough of Queens. And the endorsement of all of my colleagues really is incredibly gratifying, because to me it affirms what I've long been saying. that I'm the person in this race who has the longest and best record of delivering for New Yorkers. And we need a mayor who is tough and has delivered results and can deliver results. Look, let's be clear, talk is cheap. And it's not so hard to issue press releases and point fingers. But New Yorkers need a mayor who's going to make their lives better and easier. And they know whether or not a candidate can do that, whether they can know whether a candidate can do that if the candidate has already done it. And I've balanced 7 budgets on time, preventing the layoff of 4,100 school teachers and keeping every firehouse in Queens and every other borough in the city of New York open.
Yeah.
In the good times, the good financial times before the recession, we took $8 billion and didn't spend it. There's probably no other city in America that can say that. We took $8 billion, prepaid future bills, and put money in a trust fund. Those were actions that put us on sound footing so we could weather the recession probably better than any other city in America. I just didn't urge with my colleagues the state to make kindergarten mandatory. At my request, we got that bill passed into law, and come September, every 5-year-old in New York City will go to kindergarten, and that 3% of children who weren't going won't be left behind. We've delivered more pro-tenant legislation than any council in history and passed important pieces of pro-choice legislation that protect access to reproductive health centers and really shine a light on these fake crisis pregnancy centers. This is a specific record that no one else running for mayor has. So when I tell New Yorkers I'm going to build 40,000 new middle-income housing units over 10 years, they know it's true because they know I've already been part of building affordable housing. When I say I'm going to reform the gifted and talented program to create more gifted and talented seats and open up access to more diversity, they know it's going to happen because we've already delivered on education. And when I say we're going to keep this the safest big city in America, but reunite police and communities and heal the rift to stop and frisk, they know it's going to happen because that's the kind of work we've already done. So I'm so grateful to have the support of my colleagues, folks who know it's not easy to get things done in the legislative body. Folks who know that finger pointing doesn't get results. Folks who know you have to work together to get results, and I want to thank them so much for their support, and I look forward to delivering even more for the borough and the residents of Queens when I'm elected mayor with all of their support. So thank you guys very much. And we're happy to take any questions. But no one needs to feel the need to have it.
Hearing none.
Hearing none.
Well, if there's going to be no questions, I might as well ask. Got to make my paycheck somehow.
Oh, we'll certify you are real, you know what, at the press conference.
Let me ask you again, if I may, about that about Anthony Weiner's record. There was a long article in the New York Times, as you know, yesterday about it, and it pointed to the fact that while he might have some strength with constituent services, when it comes to working well with his colleagues in Congress, that was something that didn't really happen according to them, and also didn't have any bills to his name other than one in long years of Congress. I'm wondering if you can compare your record to that and whether that should matter when voters make up their minds.
Well, look, my record, compared to anybody else who's running for mayor, is the longest, most specific, and most significant. And the way you get a record like that is working with people, trying to build consensus. Being tough, being clear, being hardworking and energetic, but trying to bring people together. And in those moments where you can't reach consensus, being clear and direct that this is what I believe, and this is what's going to happen, and I'm sorry if you can't agree with that. And that's what has led me to pass, and it was stuck for decades, a solid waste management plan into law in New York. A plan which will, when it's implemented, finally begin to move diesel polluting trucks off the streets of low-income neighborhoods and make sure every borough and every neighborhood, including the one I live in Manhattan, that we do our fair share and stop dumping all of our municipal garbage uses in low-income neighborhoods of color. That's what happens when you work with other people based on the principles that you believe in. We've passed legislation that gives tenants the right to sue their landlord in court if their landlord has harassed them. We got sued by the landlord lobby because of this bill, and we went to court and we won. Why do I mention these two things? One was a way we were able to build consensus and get something done. The other, we tried to get agreement, we couldn't. We stood our ground and we won for New Yorkers. It matters what your record is if you're running for mayor, because if you don't have a record, if you can't work with other people, if you haven't been able to get things done, then all you have is talk. And talk is cheap. Talk isn't going to help a New Yorker get a job. It's not going to help them get an apartment. It's not going to help their child get a pre-kindergarten seat. What'll do that is electing a mayor who can deliver. How do you know you're electing a mayor who can deliver? If they have delivered. And no one has delivered for the city of New York like I have, and that's what'll happen when I become mayor. So your record matters because it says who you are, and what you can get done.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the press?
I do. 911, you're going to hold hearings on the 911 system. Can you talk about that a bit?
Sure, absolutely. We are holding basically an emergency hearing on the 911 system. And it's really unfortunate that we have to do this, because the reason we're doing it is because there have now been multiple reports of the system going down and reports of the system having such failures that it may have contributed to a late response when a child was fatally hit by a car. 911 is the foundation, in a lot of ways, of New Yorkers' public safety system. And New Yorkers need to know when they pick up that phone, they are calling a system that is sound 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We can't say to New Yorkers, we have that confidence right now, because there are so many unanswered questions. That's why we're going to hold this oversight hearing on Monday to get to the bottom of what happened and make whatever changes are necessary so it doesn't happen again.
And do you have a position on a centralized system? One of your rivals, Bill Thompson, saying that it should go back to borough dispatches?
You know, the centralized system, when it works, works. We need to make sure we have a system that works and find out why it hasn't been working. There's been a kind of immediate, almost disregard for there being a larger problem, saying that it was human error. We need to know exactly what happened so it doesn't happen again, and need to know why there seems to have perhaps been a series of different breakdowns that occurred on more than one occasion. Thank you guys.